Hello everyone, and welcome to another Dina's Talk Time. Today, I want to put a disclaimer out because we are going to talk about something that could be triggering to some of you, and that is domestic violence. So before you go any further, I want to give you a warning and just let you know what we're going to expect in this episode. So let's get into it, you all. Let's talk about domestic violence and the importance of asking if someone is okay. So a few years ago, I was in a domestic violence relationship. I was married and my husband was very, very violent. Physically, mentally, sexually, spiritually, emotionally, and all those things you can think of. My only escape during that time truly was work. And at the time, my leaders and my coworkers, they, for the better part, could tell, hey, something wasn't right. Some of them asked, was I okay? And some of them, a majority of them, did not. They just kind of went through their daily life and doing the regular things that they needed to do to accomplish their job. And I really, really would like to stress that if you see someone is they're off of their regular game and they are acting a little bit different from their usual performance, it's simply okay just for you to ask if they are okay. You never know the reaction that you could get, or you never know what inspiration you could give them by asking if they're okay. And that could potentially get them out of the situation that they are currently in. To be honest, I wish more people would have asked me if I was okay. When someone did, I, at that point in time in my life, did not have the courage to tell them everything that was going on. But I can tell you that there were signs. I remember one PT test that we had. The night before, I had experienced a lot of violence that night. And I had went to work. Well, I went to the PT test in short sleeves and shorts for that particular PT test. That was the uniform. And I had bruises and marks on my arms and on my legs. I hadn't gotten any sleep because not only were we physically fighting, but he also liked to do this sleep deprivation thing. So I wasn't really truly sure how I was even going to physically perform in that environment. But I do remember getting out of the car and being like, oh crap, as I was walking into the PT test, like, I should cover up. I didn't think to put on any makeup because I was hiding bruises and things like that with makeup or long sleeves, things of that nature. And I remembered I didn't think to do that. And at that point in time, I was like, screw it. I just wish somebody would see. Please, somebody see these marks on my body and ask me what's going on. Am I okay? Unfortunately, and this isn't because of any of them, anybody that was there at that PT test, nobody asked. I actually did happen to pass, even though the night before we were up physically fighting and I had barely little to no sleep. And throughout all that was going on in my life, I was working to the best of my ability. I can say that I probably could have done better, but going home after work knowing that what was awaiting me was something and someone who was truly sadistic, that all I could do was just survive when I was at work, and that would be my outlet. One of the turning points that was going on at work is people would notice and I would go into the restroom, or I would be somewhere in the pharmacy doing something, and then I would have to run into the restroom because I was just feeling so much anxiety and unease and would just start crying. My coworkers did notice, and even my leadership. And unfortunately, it did get back to me that that kind of stuff had made them uncomfortable. So they had pulled me to the side, but they didn't ask me, was I okay? They didn't even ask me what was going on. All they did was say, hey, my behavior was making people uncomfortable, which that is 100% true. If you're working and you notice that your coworker or someone starts crying, it's gonna make feelings and make people feel uncomfortable, and things are gonna arise that people just aren't willing to deal with. I truly wish at that time things were handled a little differently on their parts and on my parts. They could have asked, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Your performance isn't what it used to be. You're starting to cry. You're starting to just do things that are outside of the norm. I wish that would have been said. And me too, on my part, I wish during that time, even though they were giving me guidance or they were just telling me, hey, my behavior was making people unsettled and uncomfortable, that I would have just been brave enough to say, hey, things are not okay at home. I am not okay. But it's life lessons learned. I am out of that situation, and I know it's okay to tell people what's going on. You don't have to live in fear or any of that. So with all that being said, and in regards to domestic violence and things like that, you never know what's happening in someone's home or behind closed doors in any situation. It is really, truly nice just simply saying hello to someone. And if you do notice that something is going wrong with them, just to simply ask, hey, are you okay? Now, I'm not saying the response is going to be what you expected, and you may not even have the tools, knowledge to help that person. But if they do happen to confide in you, just know that we have a computer at our fingertips. And what is that computer? It is our cell phone. There are so many resources out there, and we actually do have the tools right in our fingertips to help that person. So I'm not saying that you're going to get someone when you ask, hey, are you okay? And they're in a domestic violence situation. It could be something far less severe or even more harmful or detrimental. But just showing that you have that decent humanity and that decent kindness to know that your fellow coworker, your friend, or your loved one is acting different than what they usually are, and you being able to say, okay, it matters. You never know the impact that you'll have. So thank you all so much for tuning into Dina's Talk Time, and I can't wait to share more and more videos with you.